What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Half Mile Hangout. Sorry we didn't get a video to you on Thursday. I was frankly being lazy. And we were just had some busy moments, or at least I did. I was busy a little bit, and then when I wasn't busy, I was just, wanting to chill out a little bit. But it was a good weekend overall. Between St. Pete and Circuit of the Americas, I don't know how much I'm going to say I enjoyed the racing or if I just enjoyed being able to watch racing. But Will, what did you think? First impressions on the weekend?
Um, you know, Sunday, little lackluster for the first two stages probably, but third stage was a little more interesting, even though it was dominantly ran there by Tyler Reddick. It was cool to see, history be made. Cool to see MJ there, able to celebrate with the team, obviously, and stuff. And it's just it's cool to see how like dominant that this 2311 team can be in different phases throughout the race after what was a little bit of a down year last year. I mean, both cars made the playoffs again, but they didn't do too well in the playoffs like they had in the previous years. The year before, they were both, I think, in the round of eight, both the 23 and the 45. And then, last year, I think they were both out by the round of eight. But it's cool to see them in all three cars. Realistically, even Herbst, we were texting back and forth about it there a little bit during the race. Herbst was running up uh, in the top 10, top 15. He fell back slowly, but I mean, it was cool. It was cool to see them do their thing, and they're really becoming a dominant team. It seems like in this series.
Sorry for the technical difficulty there, folks. But just kind of to piggyback a little bit off of what Will was talking about. Um, it has been dominance thus far through the Cup season for Tyler Reddick. Obviously the duels didn't go his way, but ever since then, the 45 has looked like and has been the car to beat. The domination on all fronts. I guess you could say, from super speedway racing to, super speedway racing, but a little bit different in Atlanta, and then over to, a road course at COTA. That car has looked like, you know, I would say probably the best car on track in at least two of the three races. I think the only guy who could have given him a run in terms of car this week was Zilsch. And he just unfortunately was getting beat and banged around in the back a little bit. But he probably passed more cars in that race than entire teams did combined, because I know he was working it back up. He even got back up to like 16th after the last wreck, I think, which is just unbelievable. But all in all, I'm not the biggest road course fan. I like Watkins Glen a lot, but outside of that, finding a way to enjoy the race, at least, I would say there was some excitement with that last restart. SVG being on his tail. There was about like 8 to 10 laps in there where you were kind of on the edge of your seat, until you realized that Reddick literally looked like he had 100 extra horsepower coming out of the turns because SVG was so tight. Um, then you realize, he was just going to pull away. But barring your call, I know that I'm not sure how much you got to watch of it, but the Xfinity race was pretty well dominated by Shane Van Gisbergen. I just wanted to touch on again a little bit about, Corey Day. Again, kind of in an incident this week, coming towards the end of the race. He kind of, it looks like he straight pit maneuvers Zillich, but, obviously just a misread on his part. But, I know we've touched on it before, kind of how fast guys are and how good they are relative to their equipment. Do you think that, that's something Hendrick needs to kind of take a look at? Do you think they tell him to, like, you can be aggressive, but like you're just causing, stupid issues or stupid mistakes, not even necessarily going for a position. Like he wasn't even, I don't think, trying to pass.
Yeah, you just gotta be smart. I'm not gonna judge anyone for what they do on a road course. This isn't, their thing. This isn't their normal avenue that they'd go down. So man, stuff like that. If you consistently start seeing stuff for the next 2, 3, I mean, we got Phoenix next week, and then what's before Martinsville? Is it Phoenix and
Phoenix, Vegas, Darlington.
Phoenix, Vegas, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol? If you start seeing, stuff throughout, the coming races, then yeah, maybe sit them down, talk to them. But I mean, we haven't been to a normal track yet, per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too early to say anything about that.
Yeah, I think like you said, more traditional tracks coming up. I think it'll be more, excitement. You could say. I mean, I know Daytona and Atlanta were both. We labeled them as quite exciting races. But it'll be nice to see a little bit of a change of pace. A mile long track, I think Phoenix is, and then a mile and a half at Vegas, and then, short track, kind of. I always kind of labeled Darlington as a short track when I was younger, but it's really not. It's just so technical.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I always thought it was shorter than it is too. Especially growing up, but it has that short track feel for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of
I think is what
chaos.
everyone kind of likes about it. So,
well, looking forward, if there's nothing else you want to touch on from the Cup race, the only other thing I would want to talk about was, um, you know, the Hendrick cars showed out a little bit better this week. Bowman's had another rough finish. He's actually dead last in the points. It's tough for him. I know he got sick in the car or something. That was a crazy scenario. I don't know if you saw that. The guy was texting one of the O'Reilly's drivers, asking him for braking points before he got in the Cup car for Hendrick Motorsports. I thought that was something to at least highlight. I thought that was really impressive by I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like Myatt Snyder. I'm gonna say Matt, but I don't know.
yeah, that was cool. That was cool for sure. Glad he got that opportunity. I mean, and got to turn some laps out there in a top tier, top quality car.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? You want to go over grades for this race real quick?
Yeah, we can. I'll let you go first. I think I went first last time.
I've gone back and forth on this a little bit, and I bumped it up a little bit because the historical context of this. I mean, the third stage was good. We finally got a caution in the third stage. We saw a little bit more. I don't even want to say aggressiveness, because there was aggressiveness off of all the restarts, but it just felt like it was a little more consistent throughout. And then the series of green flag pit stops during that third stage was pretty cool. And, you get to see a little bit of the strategy and all that sort of stuff play out. I ultimately went with a 6.8, a little D plus for the race. I mean, the first two stages are what they are, and it was a largely dominated race by Reddick. I mean, he didn't do too much in the first stage, but it came out like he wasn't really trying to. He was trying to save tires and see what he had and really just prepare himself for the rest of the race. And then after that, I mean, just as fast as that Ryan Blaney machine was, he couldn't even touch. Like, he couldn't pass him. He couldn't get. There was no way he was ever going to get around him. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a 6.8 for that. It wasn't a disappointing race at all, but after coming off the 2 weeks we've had, and even 3 if you want to include the clash, I mean,
underwhelming.
It just wasn't as much.
Yeah.
Going on.
Underwhelming would be kind of the word I would use. I didn't think it was horrible. Like, it wasn't a painful watch, but it definitely wasn't an exciting race.
See, I wouldn't call it underwhelming though either, because like it's kind of what I expect. It's like it's an average. It's exactly kind of how I expected this to go.
Yeah.
So.
For me, I was gonna go with like a 6.4, so right in the same area as you. Just not an F, but just not a great, not a super enjoyable watch for me overall. As more of a NASCAR fan, I mean, I love all motorsports, but like, I like the ovals. I know more about ovals. I know a little bit more about what they're trying to do versus at a road course. It's kind of hard for me to relate because the pit strategies are so different. The guys are flipping stages and just giving up stage points, and it's like, why? wouldn't you want to go get 10 points there? And then you realize how important the track position is coming through those restarts. Like even Zillich eventually got the track position, but he never got higher than fourth. And I don't think anybody on the front row or in the front three got messed up on any of the restarts. So the track position is just extremely important. But yeah, I mean, it's 6.4 for me. I guess we can move on
Yeah.
now. Talk a little bit about what we're looking forward to at Phoenix next week. We will get a video out on Thursday this week. Um, let's let you take the reins here. Tell me a little bit of what you're looking forward to. Some guys you're keeping an eye out for.
I'm interested to see how that forward gap that we've been so accustomed to at Phoenix in the past continues to get shrunk down. Obviously, still the last time we were there was a Ford winner. Blaney took it home, but that race was largely dominated by Denny Hamlin. Also had a bounce back week, top 10 finish from Denny Hamlin. Just to touch on that for a second, which was major for him, big for him and what he's trying to accomplish this season, and moving forward, trying to get himself picked up in the points after two unfortunate weeks at Daytona and Atlanta, obviously. So I think it'll be a big week for him, and I want to see, does that Ford dominance continue this week? I think that's a big storyline because every race it seems like the other teams, the other manufacturers are bridging that gap a little bit more. And I'll be interested to see if someone besides the Ford will be able to take it home this coming weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I would say going into it, your favorites are probably guys like Logano and Blaney, obviously, and then, Hamlin, Larson, Bell have all historically been pretty good there. I'm just looking forward to, some good, you know, intermediate, if you will, traditional, um, oval racing. Not, I don't know. I don't know. Do you classify it as a short track? I don't know. But it'll be fun. It was a good race in the fall. I mean, it was mostly dominated by Hamlin, but big things happened at big times. It felt like
Byron had his moments in that race too, where he was really applying pressure to Hamlin and had some unfortunate breaks,
yeah,
notably with that tire failure that a lot of the guys had. Um, so I'll be interested to see how. I think someone's going to have the Ford's number this week. I don't know who it is. I don't know who I'm going to pick yet, but I think someone's going to have their number this week, and I'm excited to see how that plays out.
yeah, definitely. Coming up, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol. Just a really fun run of tracks there, in my opinion. Some of the best short track racing on the circuit. Arguably one of the best mile and a halves on the circuit with Vegas, Darlington. We're gonna see some good racing here coming up. We'll get to see how the horsepower package looks at Martinsville and Bristol and Phoenix, all three. We haven't seen it yet on a track that wasn't either the Clash or a road course. So we haven't seen it on a regulation track yet. Will definitely be something to keep an eye out for if tire wear comes into effect a little bit more than it has in the past, which would be saying something a little bit considering the last Phoenix race and how many tire issues they had then. I
They
know it
had
was.
that new compound, right? Am I mistaken on that, or they had a new?
I'm sure.
I think they had a new compound they were using that weekend,
Yeah, it'll be interesting
which
to
is
see.
why. Because that's what it was. Remember, everyone. It was a new compound, and everyone was trying to see how extreme like they could get it on like. I remember Denny talking about it on how like low in pressure maybe they could go, or how high in pressure, one of the two. And everyone was just pushing it to the extreme because of how you could get the car to handle or how fast you could get it to go. That's exactly what it was in all those tire failures. Because I remember him coming out after the race and being like, "I don't blame Goodyear for this. Like I blame the teams. They're pushing the equipment to the limits, obviously." Um, so maybe that'll be something to watch coming up this week too. Is tires, and will they be as problematic as they were in the fall? Because I that was a big storyline that week. After that is because I mean I think every driver in the final four had tire failure at one point.
Yeah, something like that. I remember for sure Briscoe, Larson, I don't know if Denny had trouble. I think he just
Then he had trouble, but it came at like a moment when they were about to get like there was a
yeah.
caution coming out or something already. Anyway, if I remember
That
correctly,
sounds right. Like there was a caution out,
yeah,
and
he
then he
had
blew his
trouble, but it
tire.
didn't like hurt him by
Yeah,
any means or anything.
but we're excited. Looking forward. We got another question this week, another trivia question. For you, Will, brought to you by the NASCAR Hall of Pretty Good. Go follow those guys on Instagram. This question is, and you might not know this. Tyler Reddick has the chance to be the first 4 in a row winner since Jimmy Johnson in this year.
Jimmy Johnson in this year, 4 in a row.
I believe Jimmy's
I'm
tracks
gonna
were Martinsville, Texas, Atlanta, and Phoenix.
Martinsville, Texas, Atlanta, and Phoenix. So it would have had to been in the spring, right? If it was all the no, that would have been the end of the year.
You're just trying to get the season right. You're just trying to get the NASCAR season right.
I know. I'm trying to figure out what the schedule would have been on. I'm gonna go with 2015.
-8.
It's what?
2007 was when Jimmy Johnson
Wow,
won. That was the
really?
last time someone won 4 in a row.
2007. Holy cow, that'd have been early on, huh?
Oh yeah, and we appreciate that question. Brought to you guys again by the NASCAR Hall of Pretty Good. But looking forward to Thursday. We're gonna get you guys a paint scheme video for sure this week with some picks in it. We actually both picked Tyler Reddick last week. We were going to. We just didn't have time to make a video. You can call us liars. I'm sure you will. But follow us on Instagram. Like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. Check us out on Spotify as well as YouTube, depending on which one you're listening or watching on. And we really appreciate the support. A little bit shorter video, I think, this week, but a lot more to talk about next week after some more side by side racing and stuff like that. We'll see.
One more thing before we get out of here. You still got it rolling?
Yeah, it's wrong.
Gabe Hart, that stuff today. They're gonna allow him to stay and operate with Spire, for the time being. Just to touch on that a little bit, they're gonna allow him to continue doing his job as long as it's not a position that he held.
As
and
long
had
as
similar
it's like
roles
none of
in
their
it.
responsibilities. Sorry for
Yep.
the pump fake
And he was a
outro
crew,
right there.
and he was a crew chief or whatever for JGR.
Yeah, he was director of racing operations, and then was working as a crew chief, which technically wasn't his role. But they claim the whole claim is that he's not doing anything that he was doing at JGR anyway, which is why they're
It's a completely
allowing him
different
to
position,
do
is what
this.
you're
Yeah,
saying.
but
Yeah.
I mean, we
So he'll
appreciate
be
you
able to
guys.
stay and work.
Will hit us with the we had the pump fake outro right there. You heard the spiel already. We'll catch y'all later.